Have you ever done a double take, thinking one celebrity was someone else, just because they looked way too much alike? Sometimes, that uncanny resemblance isn't just a fluke. The names might not give it away, and the faces might seem like pure coincidence, but the truth? There's a hidden bond. A connection so deep, even the most die-hard fans would never guess it. In the world of fame and spotlight, some family ties are so unexpected, they'll leave you speechless. So grab a snack, pour your favorite drink, and settle in, because we're about to reveal the shocking truth behind 30 black celebrities you never knew were actually related. Damon Weighins and Marlon Weighins. Damon Weighins and Marlon Weighins, the explosive feud behind comedy's royal family. They're the heart of Hollywood's funniest dynasty, Damon Weighins, the sharp-witted elder statesman known for In Living Color and My Wife and Kids, and Marlon Weighins, the unpredictable firecracker who brought us Scary Movie and White Chicks. Together, they helped turn the Weighins name into a comedic empire. But behind the scenes, it wasn't always laughter and love. In 1992, the set of In Living Color, where Damon served as head writer, became ground zero for a family clash that nearly derailed everything. Damon, the no-nonsense perfectionist, was all about discipline and sticking to the script. Marlon, on the other hand, thrived on chaos, throwing in wild improvisations that had everyone cracking up, except Damon. Frustrated, Damon slammed the script on the table and pointed at his younger brother. "Go off script one more time, and I'll play your part myself." Marlon didn't back down. He fired right back. "You think being perfect is funny? The audience wants surprises, and I am the surprise." The air was electric, two comedy titans on the verge of a blowout. But just when things felt ready to explode, Marlon broke into a grin. "Come on, Damon. You're the best big bro, but man, you gotta learn to laugh at yourself." Damon froze, then cracked a rare smile. The tension melted. That day, the shoot ended in thunderous applause as the brothers delivered a scene so perfectly in sync, it was pure magic. It was more than just a performance, it was a reminder. No matter the differences, the bond between these two is unshakable. Two contrasting forces. One legendary family, forever united by comedy. Eddie Murphy and Charlie Murphy, a brotherhood that shaped comedy. When you think of iconic comedy, the names Eddie Murphy and Charlie Murphy rise to the top. Two brothers whose bond ran deeper than fame. Eddie burst onto the scene in the 1980s with blockbuster hits like Beverly Hills Cop and The Nutty Professor, becoming a legend known for his razor-sharp wit and unmatched range. Charlie, with his raw, no-holds-barred humor, carved out his own legacy, especially on Chappelle's Show, where he delivered unforgettable stories and punchlines that echoed through comedy history. But behind the laughter was a deep mutual respect. Charlie always looked up to Eddie, the trailblazer who opened doors for him. And despite Eddie's whirlwind career filled with movie sets and bright lights, he never stopped showing love and appreciation for his older brother, the one who had been with him from the very beginning. In 2006, while working together on Norbit, tensions briefly flared. Eddie, known for his perfectionism, pushed back on some of Charlie's comedic ideas during a script meeting. But what could have driven a wedge between them only brought them closer. Eddie soon recognized Charlie's brilliance and the brothers moved forward, stronger than before. Charlie remained Eddie's fiercest supporter, and Eddie never forgot how much of his success was built with Charlie by his side. Their bond withstood the pressures of Hollywood, the tests of time, and the weight of fame. When Charlie passed away in 2017, Eddie was devastated. At the funeral, he spoke through tears. "He was an irreplaceable part of me, a part of my most treasured memories." Their connection, Eddie said, was unshakable, a brotherhood forged not just by blood, but by love, laughter, and life itself. Venus and Serena Williams. Venus and Serena Williams, the sisters who took over the world. They're not just sisters, they're icons. Venus and Serena Williams rewrote the rules of tennis, forever changing the face of the sport with power, grace, and unshakable determination. From the moment they stepped onto the court, they didn't just play, they dominated. Venus, the trailblazing older sister, burst onto the scene in the early 90s, stunning the world with her Grand Slam performances. And then came Serena, a force of nature. With unmatched skill and relentless resilience, she rose to become one of the greatest athletes of all time. Together, they collected countless titles and ruled the women's doubles circuit for years. Rivals on the court, soulmates off of it. But their journey wasn't just about victory, it was also about loyalty, sacrifice, and sisterhood. In 2001, during the Grand Slam final at Roland Garros, Serena suffered a devastating ankle injury. The match hung in the balance. But Venus rose to the moment, stepping in and carrying their team to victory. After the match, she embraced Serena with tears in her eyes. In a heartfelt interview, Serena said, "If it weren't for her, I wouldn't be here today. Venus isn't just my sister, she's my hero." Their bond has moved the world more than once. During a tense Wimbledon semifinal, Venus stunned the crowd by walking off the court mid-match after hearing Serena was in distress. No hesitation, no second thoughts, just a sister protecting her own. That moment echoed far beyond tennis, a powerful reminder that some wins are bigger than trophies. In the game of life and sport, Venus and Serena showed us that true champions don't just rise alone, they rise together. Jaden Smith and Willow Smith, siblings, rivals, and creative powerhouses. Jaden Smith stormed into the spotlight as a child, delivering a heartfelt performance in the pursuit of happiness alongside his father. He later carved out a name for himself in music, blending genre-defying sounds with bold fashion statements. But he wasn't the only Smith sibling making waves. At just 10 years old, Willow Smith exploded onto the scene with her infectious anthem "Whip My Hair," instantly becoming a voice for young, fearless individuality. Raised under the dazzling glow of Hollywood royalty, Jaden and Willow didn't just grow up in fame, they grew up in creative combat. Their bond is more than sibling love. It's a friendly but fiery rivalry that drives them both to greatness. In 2019, they hit the road together on a joint music tour, where every night felt like a battle for the spotlight. Willow confessed she often felt the pressure to keep pace with her older brother, while Jaden revealed that his sister's boldness constantly pushed him to evolve as an artist. That unspoken competition sparked brilliance. At Coachella 2020, the duo delivered a breathtaking duet that silenced the crowd, raw, emotional, and electric. In that moment, it was clear, there isn't a rivalry that divides, but one that fuels creation. Together, they proved that when love and ambition collide, magic happens. Angela Basset and Annette Basset, sisters weathering the storms of fame. Angela Basset is a Hollywood powerhouse, an Oscar-nominated actress whose unforgettable roles in What's Love Got to Do with It and Black Panther have cemented her legacy. But behind the scenes stands someone just as vital to her journey, her sister, Annette Basset. Though less known to the public, Annette is a talented producer and Angela's unwavering anchor through every high and low. Their bond goes far beyond family. It's a source of strength, a quiet force that has carried them both through life's fiercest storms. Angela once said, "Annette has always been there during my hardest times. She's someone I trust with everything." And Annette? She's just as proud. She often praises Angela's professionalism and powerful screen presence. But their connection was never more evident than in 2015, when Angela faced stinging criticism for her role in the film Whitney. The negativity weighed heavily on her, threatening to dim her light. While Angela endured the pressure, Annette stood silently in the background, until she couldn't anymore. She penned a heartfelt letter to the critics, defending her sister with grace and fire. She wasn't seeking attention. She just wanted to shield the woman she loved most from the harsh spotlight. In that moment, it wasn't just Angela's battle, it was their battle. A fight carried by two sisters, bound not only by blood but by loyalty, love, and an unbreakable commitment to lift each other up, no matter how fierce the storm. Ice Cube and O'Shea Jackson Jr., a legendary bond forged in art and blood. Ice Cube and his son O'Shea Jackson Jr. don't just share a name, they share a legacy. As one of the most powerful father-son duos in entertainment, their bond runs far deeper than music and film. Ice Cube, born O'Shea Jackson, carved his place in history through raw, unapologetic rap and unforgettable roles in films like Boys in the Hood and the Friday series. Then came O'Shea Jr., stepping boldly into Hollywood with a breakout performance in Straight Outta Compton, playing none other than his own father. When OShea Jr. first chose to follow in his father's footsteps, the world doubted him. Whispers of nepotism and skepticism followed him everywhere. But through every challenge, Ice Cube stood firm beside his son, not just as a dad, but as a mentor, a shield, and a guiding force. Their most iconic moment came on the set of Straight Outta Compton. For OShea Jr., it wasn't just about learning to act, it was about stepping into his father's shoes and walking through the fire of his past. Every line delivered, every look captured on screen, was rooted in deep emotional understanding. Ice Cube didn't just watch from the sidelines. He worked hand in hand with his son, breaking down scripts, fine-tuning expressions, and making sure the portrayal was raw, real, and respectful. On sleepless nights when doubt crept in, Ice Cube was there, reassuring, uplifting, reminding his son of the strength in his bloodline. And when the film finally premiered, father and son sat side by side in the theater. As the credits rolled and the audience erupted, Ice Cube looked over, eyes full of tears. His son had done more than act, he had honored his legacy. It wasn't just a performance. It was a passing of the torch, a powerful reminder that greatness doesn't just run in the family, it grows stronger with each generation. Richard Pryor and Rain Pryor, a complicated dance between pain and love. Richard Pryor was more than a comedy legend. He was a cultural force, a man whose fearless humor could leave audiences gasping with laughter or quietly wiping tears. But behind the fame was a storm he could never quite outrun. Addiction, illness, broken marriages. And at the center of it all was a daughter, Rain Pryor, trying to make sense of it. Rain, a gifted actress and singer in her own right, grew up under the weight of his towering legacy. Their relationship was anything but simple, filled with moments of deep pain, yet laced with rare and unforgettable tenderness. In 1990, after Richard had been weakened by multiple sclerosis, Rain visited him at his Los Angeles home. The room was dim, quiet, almost heavy with unspoken words. Finally, she broke the silence. "You've made everything so hard, not just for yourself, but for me too." Richard looked at her, eyes tired but honest. "I know," he said softly, "but you're still here. I don't deserve it, but you've never left." That wasn't their only moment of raw truth. In 1993, Rain premiered her play in New York. No one expected Richard to show up, yet there he was, slowly walking to the front row with his cane, pride shining in his eyes. After the final curtain, he whispered to her, "You're better than I ever imagined. I'm not perfect, but you're the most perfect thing I've ever had." Their bond was far from easy. There were wounds that never fully healed. But through it all, through the fame, the pain, the chaos, one thing remained: love. Unshakable, complicated, and real. When Richard passed in 2005, Rain stood strong, tears in her eyes, and called him what he had always been to her: my hero. Their story isn't just about a father and daughter. It's about the power of love to endure even the darkest storms. Muhammad Ali and Leila Ali, a legacy forged in the ring. He was the greatest, a boxing legend whose fists shook the world and whose voice inspired generations. Muhammad Ali wasn't just a champion inside the ring. He was a symbol of strength, pride, and defiance. But the fight that moved him most wasn't one he ever stepped into. It was the one his daughter chose for herself. In 1999, Leila Ali stunned the world by entering the brutal world of professional boxing. Her father, a man who had gone toe-to-toe with giants, was shaken. "I don't want you to get hurt," he told her gently one night at their home in Los Angeles. His words weren't from fear, but from love. But Leila, calm, resolute, and unshakable, looked him in the eyes and said, "You taught me to be strong. This is my path. And I want to make you proud." And proud he was. When Leila stepped into the ring for her debut fight, Ali sat ringside, hands trembling, heart pounding. But when she won with undeniable force, his face lit up with pride. As he embraced her afterward, he whispered, "You're more like me than I thought." It was a moment that stopped time. Their story was never just about boxing. It was about legacy, love, and the power of belief. As Leila once said, My father is my hero, not because he's Muhammad Ali, but because he always believed in me even when the world didn't. Cedric the Entertainer and Sharita Kyles Wilson, two worlds, one unbreakable bond. Cedric the Entertainer has spent decades making the world laugh with his iconic performances and undeniable charm. But behind the spotlight and punchlines stands someone who shaped his journey from the very beginning, his sister, Sharita Kyles Wilson. While Cedric took center stage in Hollywood, Sharita built a legacy of her own in the world of academia. A respected university professor, she carved out a remarkable career far from the flashing lights and red carpets. Despite walking two very different paths, the bond between them runs deep, rooted in love, admiration, and lifelong support. Cedric once revealed that it was Sharita who first encouraged him to chase comedy. Growing up in Caruthersville, Missouri, he remembered how her wisdom and intellect pushed him to see the funny side of life. Sharita wasn't just my sister, he said, she was my first teacher. In 2007, when Cedric accepted a major entertainment award, he didn't talk about fame or success, he talked about Sharita. Standing before a cheering crowd, he choked up as he said, "Without Sharita, I wouldn't be here. She didn't just teach me facts, she taught me patience and how to turn pain into purpose." The audience rose to their feet in applause. Though their worlds may be different, Cedric and Sharita remain each other's greatest fans. Proof that family isn't just about blood, but about showing up, lifting up, and never letting go. When you hear the name Chris Rock, you think of raw, fearless comedy, one of the greatest to ever touch a mic. With decades of stand-up specials, hit movies, and unforgettable moments, Chris built an empire with nothing but a sharp tongue and a sharper mind. Then there's Tony Rock, his younger brother, who stepped into the same world, fully aware he'd be walking in Chris's giant footsteps. But Tony never backed down from the challenge. In fact, he embraced it. "Chris is the reason I got into comedy," Tony once said. "He made me believe it was possible." Their relationship? A mix of laughter, competition, and real brotherhood. They roast each other on stage like only brothers can, but behind the jokes is real love. In 2019, Tony opened up about how much Chris has meant to him. "He taught me how to survive under pressure, how to own the stage. He's more than a brother, he's my coach." Then came the 2022 Oscars, the slap heard around the world. Chris took the hit, but Tony didn't take it lightly. He stood up on stage during his own show and made it clear, "Nobody puts hands on my brother. Not on my watch." Different styles, different careers, but one bond. Chris and Tony Rock aren't just two comedians. They're family. Brothers who built their paths in the harsh world of comedy, side by side, never letting the spotlight tear them apart. Bobby Brown may have been the face the world saw, the voice behind the hits, the name in the headlines, but behind him was someone just as important, his older brother, Tommy Brown. While Bobby was chasing fame with New Edition and building a solo career, Tommy was right there, working behind the scenes, making sure his brother stayed grounded. They grew up side by side in Boston, facing tough times and learning early that they could only count on each other. Tommy wasn't just a brother, he was Bobby's protector, his manager, and sometimes, the only one who truly understood what he was going through. Whenever Bobby faced trouble, whether it was with the media, the law, or personal struggles, Tommy was the one who stepped in. He was the voice of reason in the middle of chaos. But their bond wasn't always easy. Fame brings pressure, and sometimes it made things tense. Tommy had to live in Bobby's shadow, and Bobby had to carry the weight of being the star. Still, no matter what came between them, their loyalty ran deep. Through every fight, every setback, and every comeback, they stayed brothers. Not just in name, but in heart. 12. Diana Ross and Rhonda Ross Kendrick. A love story wrapped in passion and secrets. Diana Ross, the legendary voice of Motown, has spent decades in the spotlight, celebrated for her iconic music and timeless beauty. But behind the glamorous curtain was a deeply personal secret, kept hidden for years. Her eldest daughter, Rhonda Ross Kendrick, grew up surrounded by love, believing she was the child of Diana's then-husband, music executive Robert Ellis Silberstein. But in truth, Rhonda was born from a passionate romance between Diana Ross and Berry Gordy, the visionary founder of Motown himself. 4 years, Rhonda lived a happy, carefree childhood, unaware of her true lineage. But as she entered her teenage years, rumors began to swirl. Whispers from the entertainment world crept into her life, raising questions she could no longer ignore. One quiet evening, unable to carry the weight of her curiosity any longer, Rhonda turned to her mother and asked, "Mom, is Berry Gordy my father?" The air grew still. Diana's eyes welled with tears, and in that heavy silence, she nodded. The truth was finally spoken. That night, Diana opened up about her secret love affair with Berry Gordy, a chapter of her life she had tucked away, hoping to shield her daughter from public scrutiny and personal pain. The revelation shook Rhonda's world. She loved the man who raised her, but now faced an emotional storm of identity, loyalty, and truth. Though hurt and overwhelmed, Rhonda began to understand the depth of her mother's choices, the quiet sacrifices made out of love. Still, she knew she had to confront the other half of her story. With courage, she reached out to Berry Gordy, not for fame, not for validation, but for something real. A connection, a sense of belonging. From that moment forward, Diana, Rhonda, and Berry began to mend what had once been hidden. Not for the cameras, not for the headlines, but for love. Their journey proved something powerful. No secret stays buried forever, and love, when faced with truth, has the power to heal even the deepest wounds. 13. Lenny Kravitz and Al Roker. Rock and roll meets rain or shine. At first glance, Lenny Kravitz, the free-spirited rock icon, and Al Roker, the cheerful, buttoned-up weatherman, couldn't be more different. But here's the twist that few people know: they're first cousins, tied together through Lenny's mother, actress Roxy Roker. Yet, their relationship wasn't always picture-perfect. In fact, it was more defined by quiet rivalry and unspoken tension than by family harmony. Growing up, Lenny was the artistic rebel, chasing music and individuality, while Al took the traditional route, an academic achiever with a laser focus on a future in broadcasting. At family gatherings, those differences often sparked comparison. At one early event during Lenny's budding music career, Al jokingly teased him, "You think that guitar's really gonna take you somewhere? Maybe you'll end up forecasting the weather on the street." Lenny, never one to back down, fired right back. "At least I'm doing something real, not just reading weather off a script." The moment left a scar. 4 years, as Lenny rose to rock stardom and Al became a household name on morning television, the two rarely acknowledged their family connection. But in 2009, something changed. Lenny appeared on the Today Show, and in a moment that stunned viewers, Al looked into the camera and proudly said, "Please welcome my cousin, Lenny Kravitz." The audience erupted. Lenny smirked and replied, "Finally, you admit it." That moment cracked the ice. Laughter followed, then shared memories, and finally, a long overdue reconciliation. Despite their clashing paths, Lenny and Al's story is a reminder that family, no matter how complicated, always finds its way back together. Teen. Debbie Allen and Felicia Rashad. A silent struggle between two icons. Behind the glitz and glamour of Hollywood lies a quiet, unspoken rivalry, one that unfolded not just on stage, but within the hearts of two incredibly gifted sisters. Debbie Allen, the bold visionary celebrated for her groundbreaking choreography, and Felicia Rashad, forever etched in television history as the elegant Claire Huxtable on The Cosby Show, were both stars in their own right. But beneath their shared brilliance simmered a complex tension, one born not of jealousy, but of ambition, expectations, and the invisible weight of comparison. Growing up in Houston, Texas, Debbie and Felicia were constantly measured against one another. Debbie, the daring, firecracker trailblazer, often overshadowed her sister with her dynamic energy. Felicia, graceful and introspective, was no less brilliant, possessing a quiet strength and intelligence that commanded respect. From school plays to family performances, the competition was fierce, and so was the pressure to shine. As their careers soared, so did the strain. Debbie found her acclaim in dance and direction. Felicia found her spotlight in primetime television. At an awards show, after Felicia won Best Actress, Debbie was overheard telling a friend, "If I had played that role, I would have won too. Things came to a boiling point during a joint Broadway production. Tensions flared in rehearsals when Felicia snapped, "Can you stop directing? I know how to act." Without missing a beat, Debbie fired back, "If you acted better, I wouldn't have to." The room froze. Neither spoke again for the rest of the day. But then came opening night. Felicia delivered a performance so powerful it brought the house to its feet, and brought tears to Debbie's eyes. In a quiet moment backstage, Felicia leaned in and whispered, "You were right. I couldn't have done it without you." From that night on, their dynamic changed. The rivalry didn't disappear, but it transformed into mutual respect, into a bond forged by struggle, passion, and pride. They learned that greatness doesn't have to divide, it can also unite. Because sometimes, the fiercest competition lives right next to the deepest love. Spike Lee and Baron Davis. When film meets the hardwood. When you think of Spike Lee, you think of groundbreaking cinema. When you hear Baron Davis, basketball dominance comes to mind. But what if I told you these two worlds collided through family? Spike and Baron are second cousins, and their connection runs far deeper than blood. It's a dynamic blend of Hollywood and the hardwood, a family tale wrapped in passion, creativity, and a good dose of mischief. It all started in 2011. Baron was still lighting up the NBA, and Spike had long since carved out his legacy as a fearless voice in film. At a family cookout, Spike looked over at Baron, mid-bite into a rib, and said, "You should retire and act. I've got a role for you in my next movie." Baron nearly choked. "Spike, I'm not leaving the court to play make-believe," he laughed. "I'd rather shoot blindfolded than act." But Spike wasn't letting it go. Slowly, he started pulling Baron into small projects, commercials, cameos, even Harlem documentaries. Then came the real pitch, a starring role in a basketball-themed movie called Game Changer. Baron hesitated. So Spike made a bet. "If you miss 10 straight shots with me guarding you under the hoop, you take the role," he said, grinning. Confident, Baron agreed. What he didn't know was that Spike had secretly spent the entire week working on his shot-blocking skills. On the big day, Baron missed all 10. The family roared with laughter. Spike jumped in triumph. Baron, shaking his head, finally gave in. All right, Spike, just this once." The film premiered to rave reviews. Critics praised Baron's natural charisma on screen. At the press conference, Spike grinned, "I always knew he had it, he just needed a little push." Baron fired back, "If we weren't family, I'd sue you for rigging that bet." Their playful rivalry became a celebration of family, ambition, and second chances. Spike Lee and Baron Davis are proof that when talent and trust collide, magic happens, on the court and on the big screen. And who knows? Baron Davis might just be Hollywood's next breakout star, all thanks to his visionary cousin. If any of these stories caught you off guard, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more jaw-dropping videos coming your way.